Roloff opens up about rocky family ties 1 year after Little People, Big World ends. Hello viewers, I am Alana. Welcome back to my channel. USA Daily History for Roloff family latest news update. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. It's been 1 year since Little People, Big World officially ended its decades-long run on TLC, and in that time, former cast member Zach Roloff has largely remained quiet until now. In a rare and candid interview, Zach is finally pulling back the curtain on his complicated relationships, lingering family tensions, and the emotional aftermath of walking away from the show that defined most of his life. In a heartfelt conversation, Zach reveals what it's really been like navigating life after the cameras stopped rolling and why healing old wounds with his family hasn't been as easy as some fans may have hoped. For over 20 years, Little People, Big World documented the lives of the Roloff family, parents Matt and Amy, and their children Jeremy, Zach, Molly, and Jacob. But behind the scenes, family unity was often tested. Divorces, new relationships, feuds over the family farm, and differing worldviews slowly chipped away at the once tight-knit clan. By the final season, viewers witnessed major fractures, especially between Zach and his father, Matt Roloff. The highly publicized fallout over the sale of Roloff Farms seemed to permanently divide the family, and even a year later, Zach confirms those rifts are still healing. It's been a tough year, Zach says plainly. We've all tried to move on, but some things still hurt. When the show ended, I think a lot of us thought maybe that would fix things. But it turns out, the cameras weren't the problem. Much of Zach's unresolved hurt stems from what he describes as a betrayal during negotiations for Roloff Farms. When Matt announced plans to sell a portion of the family property, Zach and his brother Jeremy were both interested in buying. However, according to Zach, the discussions quickly turned sour. There was a lot of miscommunication, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel like my dad wanted us to be part of the farm's future, he explains. It was heartbreaking. The fallout led to a near-complete communication breakdown between Zach and Matt. Zach, along with wife Tori and their kids, eventually moved away from Oregon entirely, settling in Washington to carve out their own life. We needed space, not just physical, but emotional, Zach says. It was too toxic to stay in that environment. In the year since LPBW ended, Zach says he's experienced both relief and discomfort. No longer under the scrutiny of a national audience, he's been able to focus on his family, Tori and their 3 children, Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. I've been present in a way I never was before, he shares. Being off the show has let me just be dad instead of Zach from TV. But with that freedom came a new silence, one that forced Zach to confront years of unresolved emotions without the distraction of production schedules and camera crews. When the show ended, it was like the noise stopped. And then I had to actually feel everything I'd been ignoring. That was hard. Throughout it all, Zach credits Tori for being his anchor. Fans of LPBW always admired the couple's loving dynamic, but Zach says their bond has only grown stronger in the wake of family struggles. She's my person, he says, smiling. She's the one who reminds me what matters. When things get hard with my family, she's there to say, let's focus on us and the kids. Tori, who has also taken a step back from the spotlight, has been vocal about the importance of setting boundaries even with family. We don't owe anyone access to our lives just because we were on TV, she recently shared on Instagram. Our peace comes first. When it comes to his siblings, Zach admits there's a mixed bag of closeness and distance. His relationship with Jeremy remains strained, due in part to their differing views on life, religion, and politics. We just see the world differently, Zach admits. There's love there, but we're not super close. However, he shares a more hopeful update about younger brother Jacob. Jacob and I have reconnected more recently, Zach says. He's got such a good heart, and even though we don't agree on everything, I respect him. As for Molly, who has always preferred life out of the spotlight, Zach says he keeps in touch, but the relationship remains casual. While Zach's relationship with Matt remains tense, his bond with his mother Amy has endured. Mom's always been supportive, Zach shares. She's just as frustrated by all the drama, but she tries to keep the peace. Amy, who remarried to Chris Merrick, has occasionally posted family moments that include Zach and his children. Still, she's careful not to insert herself into the conflict between father and son. I know she hurts for all of us, Zach adds. But at the same time, Matt, on the other hand, has made multiple attempts to defend his social media interviews. But Zach says public explanations only make things worse. Sometimes I wish he'd just pick up the phone instead of posting things online, Zach says, clearly emotional. Some things aren't for Instagram. 1 year out, Zach is reflective about the double-edged sword of reality fame. While LPBW brought opportunities, it also exposed his most vulnerable moments to millions. There are parts one wish I could take back, he admits. Fights that didn't need to happen on camera. Conversations that should have been private. And yet, Zach also acknowledges the platform allowed him to advocate for the dwarfism community and share a unique perspective that rarely gets mainstream visibility. I'm proud of what we did, he says. But I'm also glad it's over. As for the future, Zach is focused on raising his children with intention away from the chaos of cameras, edits, and public scrutiny. My job now is to break the cycle, he says. I want my kids to grow up knowing that love doesn't come with conditions. To longtime LPBW fans, Zach expresses deep gratitude but also asks for understanding. Thank you for watching, supporting, and caring about our family, he says. But please remember we're real people. Sometimes, healing takes time. And sometimes, that healing has to happen away from the spotlight. In closing, Zach leaves things open-ended but hopeful. Maybe one day we'll all be in the same room again, laughing and talking like nothing happened, he says. But for now, I'm just trying to be the best dad, husband, and person I can be. That's where my energy is. LPBW's Zach and Tori Roloff send a clear message about Matt's farm decision. For fans of Little People, Big World, LPBW, the Roloff family farm has always been more than just a picturesque plot of Oregon land. It's the backdrop of countless episodes, a symbol of family tradition, and a point of contention that has sparked some of the most emotional moments on the show. But when Matt Roloff, patriarch of the family, decided to sell a portion of Roloff Farms, it sent shockwaves through fans and even more so, through his children. Among the most vocal were Zach and Tori Roloff, who, over the years, made it clear they hoped to be a part of the farm's legacy. However, what transpired behind the scenes painted a very different picture. As 1 year has passed since the final season of LPBW aired, Zach and Tori have broken their silence more directly than ever, sending a powerful and unmistakable message about Matt's controversial decision and what it meant for their family. Roloff Farms spans more than 100 acres in Hillsboro, Oregon. It's been a staple of the LPBW series since its debut in 2006. The pumpkin season has drawn thousands of visitors annually, and the farm has long symbolized the heart of the Roloff family's story. With the children growing up before viewers' eyes, fans expected at least one of Matt and Amy's kids to inherit or carry on the farm legacy. Zach, in particular, had shown a strong interest. As the only one of the children who regularly featured in the later seasons of the show, his close ties to the farm and his desire to stay involved seemed inevitable. In the show's final seasons, tensions began to rise between Matt and Zach regarding the farm's future. During one of the most memorable and heart-wrenching episodes, Matt revealed his decision to list a portion of the farm for sale, essentially shutting the door on Zach's dream. Zach and Tori were visibly hurt. Conversations aired where Zach accused his father of manipulating the situation and creating an environment where negotiation was nearly impossible. Matt defended his actions by saying the deal didn't make sense and claimed he gave everyone a fair shot. But fans were quick to side with Zach, calling Matt's move both cold and calculated. Shortly after the fallout, Zach and Tori made a big decision of their own. They moved their family to Battleground, Washington. While they framed the move as a chance to start fresh and live closer to nature, fans were quick to connect the dots. The message was clear: Zach was done waiting for the farm to be handed down and instead chose to create a life independent of his father's control. Their new home, complete with wide open space and room to grow, mirrored what Roloff farms once represented for Zach: potential, family, and legacy. In many ways, their move became a symbolic rejection of Matt's decision and a powerful assertion of independence. In several interviews since leaving the show, Zach has slowly opened up about the heartbreak surrounding the failed farm deal. While always careful with his words, he's acknowledged how deeply hurt he was by how things unfolded. It's not just a piece of land. It was part of our family, our story, Zach shared during a podcast interview in early 2025. When you've grown up there, and you've talked about the future with your dad for years, it's hard when you realize you weren't really considered part of that future. Tori has echoed the sentiment, sharing via Instagram stories that change is painful, especially when it involves people you love. She emphasized their desire to build a new future, on our terms. If Matt's decision caused disappointment, Zach and Tori's response only increased their popularity among fans. Viewers praised their maturity, their commitment to protecting their family unit, and their refusal to stay in a situation where they didn't feel valued. Social media platforms became flooded with support. Hashtags like Team Zach and Farm Should Be Family trended during the final season of LPBW. Fans left thousands of comments on Tori's posts, encouraging the couple and thanking them for their vulnerability. One fan wrote, "Zach, you deserve better. That farm should have been yours and Tori's to continue the Roloff legacy." Another added, "Your kids will grow up surrounded by love and strength, and that matters more than any piece of land." In the aftermath, Matt did respond publicly to the criticism. During an interview with a local Oregon radio station, he tried to clarify his position, saying, "There's a lot more to the story than people see on TV. I love my kids. I wanted it to work, but at the end of the day, I had to make a decision that was right for me and for the farm as a business. However, the damage was already done." For many fans, Matt's reasoning felt detached, even cold. His words failed to mend the public perception, especially after he listed the property for sale online, inviting the very outsiders he once said he didn't trust with the farm. When TLC officially announced the end of Little People, Big World in 2024, it was both a nostalgic moment and a clear signal: the Roloffs were truly entering a new era. Zach and Tori had long hinted that they were ready to step back from the spotlight. The unresolved family drama likely played a significant role in that decision. In their farewell posts, Zach and Tori didn't mention Matt or the farm directly, but their wording spoke volumes. "We're grateful for the years, the memories, and the opportunity," Tori wrote. "But it's time for new beginnings, with our children as our focus." One of the most touching aspects of Zach and Tori's journey has been their fierce dedication to creating a loving environment for their children Jackson, Lila, and Josiah. While they chose to walk away from the farm, they doubled down on building something just as meaningful. "Everything we do now is about them," Tori explained. "We want them to know what it feels like to be chosen, included, and supported unconditionally." Fans have noticed how much happier and more grounded the couple appears since leaving. Their social media is filled with family hikes, cooking together, birthday parties, and heartwarming milestones, proof that happiness can thrive far from the drama. While Zach and Tori have never launched a direct attack on Matt, their actions over the last year have spoken louder than words. From turning down the farm deal to building a new life in Washington, every move has felt like a message of self-respect and boundary-setting. In the world of reality TV, silence often carries more weight than outbursts. Zach's restraint, Tori's quiet resolve, and their choice to walk away with dignity may have done more to sway public opinion than any fiery confrontation ever could. While there's no official word on whether Zach and Tori will return to TV, they continue to engage with fans through their online platforms. Tori's Instagram remains a window into their daily life, and Zach has been more active in the podcast space, hinting at possible new projects down the line. Whether or not they return to the spotlight, one thing is certain: they're doing things on their own terms now. The saga surrounding Roloff Farms may have ended with a for sale sign, but the story of Zach and Tori is far from over. In choosing to step away, they chose peace over property, family over fame, and self-worth over resentment. Their message to Matt Roloff and to the world isn't one of bitterness, but of empowerment. They didn't just lose a piece of land. They gained something far more valuable: control of their own narrative. And for longtime fans of Little People, Big World, that may be the most inspiring chapter yet. Little People, Big World. Zach Roloff issues blunt PSA about public urinals and dwarfism. Introduction. Zach Roloff steps up with a PSA that sparks vital conversation. Zach Roloff, a beloved star of Little People, Big World, has never shied away from discussing the everyday challenges that come with living with dwarfism. But recently, the reality star went viral for a different reason, issuing a powerful, candid, and thought-provoking public service announcement, PSA, about something as seemingly simple yet deeply significant as public. In a post that struck a chord with fans and advocates alike, Zach addressed how public restroom design can exclude people with dwarfism, shedding light on an issue often ignored by mainstream society. While LPBW has followed the Roloff family's ups and downs for nearly 2 decades, Zach's recent message stands as a reminder that the show's impact reaches far beyond entertainment. The former TV personality used his platform to advocate for accessibility, dignity, and the basic human right of using public facilities comfortably. What started as a casual observation quickly transformed into a nationwide conversation about inclusivity and respect. Let's take a deeper look at what Zach said, why it resonated with so many people, and how it's changing the way fans and the public think about design, accessibility, and dwarfism. Zach's viral message, a blunt PSA with purpose. The PSA in question came from a social media post that many didn't expect to spark so much attention. In the post, Zach posed next to a urinal at a public restroom and delivered a bold caption: "Designing public restrooms without considering all body types is lazy. This urinal is practically eye level for me." Think about that. The message was simple, but the implications were profound. Zach's point wasn't just about the inconvenience of a poorly placed urinal. It was about how society often designs spaces without considering people who don't fit the average mold. For those with dwarfism, many everyday things like using the bathroom can be uncomfortable, undignified, or outright impossible. The urinal image symbolized a larger issue, a lack of universal design and accessibility in public spaces. The blunt PSA made its rounds on Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, and even news outlets. Fans praised Zach for his honesty, and many others both in and out of the dwarfism community shared their own experiences. It turned into a broader conversation about visibility, awareness, and the need for thoughtful design. Dwarfism and public accessibility, an ongoing struggle. Zach's message hits hard because it's rooted in a lifelong reality. Dwarfism is a condition that affects bone growth, resulting in shorter stature and proportional or disproportionate limb sizes. While there are over 200 types of dwarfism, achondroplasia is the most common, and it's the form Zach has. For people with dwarfism, public life often requires adaptation. Everyday infrastructure like ATMs, sinks, counters, grocery store shelves, light switches, and yes, urinals aren't built with shorter individuals in mind. Many assume that the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, and similar laws worldwide cover every aspect of public accessibility. But in practice, these regulations often focus more on wheelchair access than other types of disability or difference, such as dwarfism. The result is that little people are frequently forced to adjust or simply go without. Zach's PSA highlights how such oversights impact real lives. And while some may